just keeping you more interested to know. We will hear about her in detail at 6 o'clock, but now we will hear lecture from her.
When we were first in ISKCON, we were out on the streets from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. We would take breakfast prasad, do the morning program, breakfast prasad, and then we were out in our on the streets. I was in Los Angeles at that time, and we used to go to Hollywood Boulevard. We had a big Harinam kirtan with all the kids, and we had prasad and we had books, and we were just out all day. We would take a thermos of dal and 3 chapatis, and that was it for the whole day. And this is how Hare Krishna movement spread like wildfire all over America, because Prabhupada had us out on Harinam. So this has deteriorated over the years. So I would like to speak to you today to encourage all of us that we have to get back into this preaching spirit. Not that I just chant Hare Krishna and actually Prabhupada said if I just think about my own going back to Godhead, that's material life. He actually said that once. He said a dead man, he cannot preach. And preaching is the real life. Prabhupada said, if we want to advance to the second level, Kanishta, and then the second level is the level of preaching. So, if I can say something today to inspire all of us to help Srila Prabhupada serve his spiritual master and spread this movement all over the world. We have been given everything by Srila Prabhupada. He's given us his very self, actually. He's given us ISKCON, he's given us Srimad Bhagavatam, he's given us Bhagavad Gita, the Mahamantra, he's given us Prasadam, he's given us Vaishnav Sangh, he's given us Vrindavan Dham, he's given us Simply Wonderfuls. He's given us everything. After traversing 84 lakh janma, for bazillions of years, millions and millions of years, we're going up and down, up and down, up and down, and never getting anywhere. We're just suffering. If you read the 3rd canto, Movement of the Living Entities, the suffering in the womb, this suffering is, Prabhupada said a grown human, if he had to go through it, he would die. So unbearable pain in the womb, and we've been through it millions and zillions of times. So Srila Prabhupada has come and picked us up out of this sanskar chakra. So who can imagine what is our debt to Srila Prabhupada? We have a huge debt that's not payable. It's not repayable. It's said that if one tries to repay the spiritual master, he becomes like a clown or like a laughing stock. So we have this eternal debt that we owe to Srila Prabhupada. He's given us life. So we owe our every breath to Srila Prabhupada. One time he was speaking and he said that he shed gallons of blood to come and get us. In 1974 in Bombay, he was remunerating. He was remunerating all the different things that he suffered through. He said that, you can't hear me? Should I speak louder? You can hear? My English is different kind of English? Little louder. Okay. Okay. That's good. Yeah. Okay. So, what I want to discuss today is one time in Bombay, 1974, Srila Prabhupada was in his room. Every evening he would have like 4 o'clock a darshan. And big people, movie stars and Congress and different people would come to see him. Big people in Bombay. So one night, no one came. So it was just Srila Prabhupada and us. And he started enumerating all the different troubles he went through. And he said, I was on the boat. Every moment I felt like vomiting on that boat. And 2 heart attacks on the boat. And Brahmananda was telling us that when he was 20 years old, he was on a boat. And he kept telling the captain of the boat, you take this boat back to the shore. I'm going to die. I cannot tolerate it. I'm going to vomit. I'm going to die. Take this boat back to the shore. Get me out of here. So he was 20 years old and he couldn't tolerate it. But Srila Prabhupada, 70 years old, so he went through very many difficulties. And he was telling us all these things. He said that actually Brahmananda said he and Prabhupada said that Krishna had come and massaged my heart and massaged life back into my body. He actually died on the boat. If any man, old man, has 2 heart attacks, doesn't get to the hospital, he will die. So Prabhupada told Brahmananda that he actually died on the boat. Krishna came, massaged his heart, massaged life back into his heart, into his body. So then he was saying, then I got to New York, which is like a narak. New York narak. He said, everyone there is demons. 99.9% of the people are demons. How will I ever give them Krishna Bhakti? He was wondering, why have you brought me to this narak, this New York? There must be some reason. And he lived in a small room. It was like a janitor's room in an office building. It was just a little room, like, where the sweepers keep their jadus. It was just a janitor's room. And he used to go next door to the petrol pump to take bath. Who is taking bath in a petrol pump? It's so disgusting. He went next door to the petrol pump to take bath. Then he went to that Mayavadi's ashram to cook for a Mayavadi. He went through so much. He could have come on a flower airplane. Krishna could have sent him on a flower airplane instead of this junky old Jaladut. Why didn't Krishna send him at least on an airplane? Does anybody have any idea? Why didn't Krishna? Do you have a mic?
There are so many ways in which Srila Prabhupada could have brought Krishna to the Western world. However he did it, we would feel this was the way to preach. For example, he could have had a very successful business, sold his business. We would think we need to have a business to preach Krishna consciousness. A lot of money. He could have had a big book contract. We'd think, oh, first we must get a book contract, then we can spread Krishna consciousness. He could have got sponsorship from the government of India. We would think, oh, we must get political connections. But by Srila Prabhupada coming on a boat with absolutely nothing, he has shown us and every other person for the next 10,000 years to spread Krishna consciousness. All you need is the desire. You don't need any money, you don't need any connections, you don't need an address, you need nothing except the desire to do so. So I feel this is why Prabhupada did it exactly why he did it on the old Jaladuta instead of the flower airplane.
Anybody else have any idea? Yes.
By hearing these stories of his his difficulties, we can see his real love for us.
Yes. Means he wanted to set the example, like you're saying. We have to step out of our comfort zone. We have to step out of our comfort zone to preach Krishna consciousness. He was living at Radha Damodar in total ecstasy. He was in ecstasy in Radha Damodar. And he left. He left Vrindavan Dham. And he went to Narak, to hell, on a boat. He could have gone on an airplane. Krishna could have arranged anything. But he wanted to show us, by his example, that we have to struggle. We have to go out of our way to spread Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement all over the world. And he is a perfect example. What he went through to come and get us all. He said to us, we were all sitting in Bombay, he said, I didn't see the right, I didn't see the left. I walked straight through hellfire to come and get you all. He said it 3 times to make it sink into our thick heads. Because we were just little kids, we were 20 years old. We were oblivious, we would have never noticed what Srila Prabhupada went through. We would have never noticed it had he not enumerated it to us and told us, I did this, I did that, I went through this hell. I didn't see right, I didn't see left. I walked straight through hellfire to come and get you all. So when you hear like this, then you think, wow, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is our hero. He saved us. Just like firefighters. When firefighters walk through fire and they save someone's life, then they get a big trophy, they get a big award, they're in the news, they're in the newspaper. Everyone is glorifying them, that they saved my life. So we should search our heart. Have I given Prabhupada this award for walking through hellfire to come and get me? Have I given Prabhupada this award? Have I even thanked him or acknowledged that he went through this for me? It didn't occur to me until 20, 30 years later that, wow, Srila Prabhupada went through this trouble of enumerating all these things for us, just so we would notice it and appreciate what he's done for us. I was telling this to a group of people, and they said that one little boy came and he said, oh, when I get big, I'm going to get a lot of money and I'm going to put Srila Prabhupada in the newspaper, one full page, and I'm going to get a trophy and I'm going to give it to Prabhupada. So we have to appreciate what Srila Prabhupada has done for us. He's given us his very life. He's done everything for us. Now we have a debt to Srila Prabhupada. We have an unrepayable debt. It's not repayable. It's eternal debt to Srila Prabhupada. So how can I repay Srila Prabhupada? Anybody's got any ideas?
Following his instruction, distributing books. Following his instructions and distributing the books. If you follow the instruction, that means you are satisfying.
And you feel satisfied. What about satisfying Prabhupada?
Yes, satisfying Prabhupada by distributing books and following his instruction.
Yes, distributing
That
books.
means we are paying his debts, whatever he has given.
Yes, Prabhupada said many, many times, he said, if you really want to please me the best, then, what did he say? Anybody knows? Yeah, distribute my books. You really want to distribute, really want to please me the best? Then distribute these books, because people are suffering and their only hope is if they get a book. I got one Back to Godhead and I read it 50 times. Next day I joined. It was everything I was looking for. They're getting this book. What is this book? This book. Non-different from his books. They open the book and they get Prabhupada's Vani. Srila Prabhupada's divine words. Prabhupada said if they read only one word, even if they just touch the book, their life will be success. After Prabhupada said that, we used to take the books and go and touch everyone because we had no idea how to distribute them. At least they'll touch the book and they'll be perfected. But then eventually, Krishna in the heart just taught us how to distribute books. I had a dream once. Srila Prabhupada came in my dream. And one sannyasi came and told me that you're distributing these books, but this is external. You're really not doing anything, you're not changing anyone's life. You're distributing these books. He said, your name is Radha-kun, you should go to Radha-kun and get the Gopi Bhav. This was many years ago. So I decided, okay, I'll give it a try. And I was thinking, tomorrow I'll move to Radha-kun and I'll try to get the Gopi Bhav. And that night, Srila Prabhupada came in my dream. He saved me. In the dream, my book table was out in the front there many years ago. And Prabhupada was at my book table, and it was down the stairs by the Samadhi. And that whole area where the stairs are, that became Radha-kund in the dream. And Prabhupada was in the water, right next to my book table, and he was yelling to me, bring more books, bring more prasad. I was running, and I couldn't bring enough books for him to distribute. He was giving prasad and book, prasad, book. And I kept running back and forth, bringing more books, bring more books, bring more prasad. So from this dream, Prabhupada made me understand that within these four walls, Prabhupada said, everything is here. Radha-kun, Shyam-kun, here we go, we're done. Everything is here, within all these four walls. And if you distribute prasad with books, the books go out like hotcakes. You give prasad, like we give a flower, and we give charnamrit, and we give a book, and they immediately buy it. So Prabhupada showed me in this dream, this is the fastest way to get books out, to save the suffering souls. So we have this debt, this eternal debt to Prabhupada, and we have to try to repay Prabhupada. There was one devotee, Ranchor, he said something very beautiful. He said that these memories of Srila Prabhupada are like very precious gems, and we store them in the treasure house, the treasure chest of our heart. And on these days, appearance days, we take these precious gems of Prabhupada's memories out, and we see them sparkle. These pastimes of Prabhupada are such nectar, and I would like to thank all of you for coming, because you're showing your love for Prabhupada by coming here and hearing his pastimes. In the chapter of Prithu Maharaj, in the Bhagavatam, it describes that there's one shloka that Krishna is saying that I derive so much more pleasure hearing the pastimes of my pure devotees, more pleasure than when I hear my own pastimes. So Krishna, Balaram, Vanitai, Radhesham, they're all here listening to Prabhupada's Leelas. Where we're speaking and glorifying Prabhupada or his pure devotees, Krishna is there to hear. He enjoys hearing these pastimes. It is said that if one realizes that Krishna's karma and his janma are divya, then he is liberated. So also if we understand that the janma and the lila of the pure devotees, that is totally transcendental, then we are also liberated. Prabhupada's birth, the most auspicious happening in the whole cosmic manifestation, the most auspicious moment when Prabhupada decided to come to this planet. We are so fortunate that we have Srila Prabhupada, such a pure devotee. There's an example, it's said that if there's a river and there's a piece of wood that has a hole in it, and a turtle puts his head into that hole, that's how rare it is to find a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. Means it's very rare to find a pure devotee like Prabhupada, which changed the whole planet. Hum rakshas lok na gai khane wale, sur khane wale. We were completely demons, eating cows. When he got over there, he thought, how will they ever understand this message of Lord Chaitanya? He changed. Who can do like this? Only Prabhupada could do this. He did the impossible. Even though he said impossible is the word in the Post Dictionary, he did the impossible. He was over there and they said that he was always going to the docks and asking, when is the next boat to India? Because he could hardly wait to get back to his Vrindavan. He was actually suffering there with all those hippies. Everybody knows what a hippie is? You know what a hippie is? I was giving a class to some students and nobody in the whole crowd knew what a hippie was. One devotee was giving a prasad to Prabhupada's godbrothers with his left hand. And Prabhupada was so embarrassed that his godbrothers were seeing that his devotee was passing out prasad with the left hand. I mean, in America there's no culture. There's absolutely no culture in America. There's yogurt culture. This is simply Pashu Jivan. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. No culture. And Prabhupada went there, and now this is a fashion. Yoga, mantra jap, kirtan. This is so popular in America now, all over the world. Srila Prabhupada went to America, did the very first kirtan in New York City, in Narak, in the hell. All alone he was standing there. You see the photo, he's standing there, and all these demons around him, and he's singing Hare Krishna all alone with his kirtan. And now there is kirtan all over the world, everywhere. Kirtan melas, 12-hour mela, 24-hour mela, 7-day mela, all over the world. The vegetarian diet is a fashion in America now. People are becoming vegetarian like anything. I never heard of the word vegetarian when I first joined. I stopped eating meat, and my mother and my father took me to the doctor. She's going to die. She's not eating meat. Can you imagine how ignorant the world was? The doctor did so many tests, and he said, "This is the most healthy person I've seen in years. What are you eating?" I said, "We eat rice, dal, lentils, sabji, vegetables." So then only my parents could accept that, okay, it's all right, you don't have to eat meat. Otherwise, they were going to force me. They were so afraid I would die if I didn't eat meat. So Srila Prabhupada changed the entire planet. The entire planet. Thousands and thousands of people. In just 10 short years, he went to Russia just by putting his 2 lotus feet on the Russian land. The whole communist government was smashed. Right? Just by just staying there for 3 days? 5 days. 5 days in Russia, whole communist government destroyed. He went to Germany, I think for a few days. The Iron Curtain, destroyed. Just fell. Half of Berlin was communist, half was ordinary. And the Iron Curtain was... This is the power of the pure devotee. Just he puts 2 feet somewhere. So, Srila Prabhupada is the guru for the next 10,000 years. Next 10,000 years, he's the Samstapakacharya, the founder acharya, the instructing guru for all of us. It's not just that his initiated disciples are getting his mercy. Actually, the Prabhupada said the grandchildren get more love than the children. In Los Angeles, Prabhupada used to give out cookies every day. He never gave to us. Never. He used to give only to the children. My god sister, she put her hand out for a cookie. He said, no. Only the children. So you are the grandchildren. So you're going to get more love from Srila Prabhupada than me. So Srila Prabhupada for the next 10,000 years is overflowing his mercy and love to the whole planet. Just now I did a chart for one of the children that was born in ISKCON. The astrologer said, I've never seen a chart like this in my life. This is like Lord Ramachandra's chart. He said, and so many children are being born in ISKCON that are amazing souls. He said, this child, he should have gone back to Godhead, but he wanted to come back and preach. And I said, well, how much should I pay you for the chart? He said, no, it was my honor to do this boy's chart. So it's very exciting.
Hare Krishna. So, on Unfortunately, I had to pause this amazing lecture, but I just felt it just should go on and on. So, hearing about basic introduction of Mataji, I would like to share the presentation. So, about Radha Mataji, we already have heard how amazing she had, deep realizations she had about Srila Prabhupada, and just a brief introduction how she joined ISKCON, the early spiritual search. She was born and raised in United States, searching for deeper meaning from a very young age. Encountered Srila Prabhupada's books and teachings, as we heard in the lecture, that how Mataji got back to Godhead magazine, and followed by that quest, she joined Srila Prabhupada, joined ISKCON, and how deeply dedicated she was that one book of Srila Prabhupada was more than enough for her to join ISKCON. She was deeply moved by his sacrifice, crossing the ocean at 70 with just books and 40 rupees. The same line was again repeated by Mataji. If you had heard the lecture, she said, Prabhupada could have stayed in America. Prabhupada could have stayed in Vrindavan. Prabhupada came to America in a ship. I mean, he could take the flight as Mataji told in the lecture, but Prabhupada took the ship so that we can see how dedicated he was and how sacrificing tendency he had to mark the words of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So this was one of the major points which struck Mataji deeply, and how Srila Prabhupada crossed the ocean at 70 with just books and 40 rupees. And again, the same line, realized Krishna consciousness as the true purpose of life. You might have heard that Mataji said that in Back to Godhead magazine, the very first thing, the very first book she had got about ISKCON, she said, all my answers were that in that book. So you can see, she realized Krishna consciousness as the true purpose of life. Srila Prabhupada, the inspiration. Srila Prabhupada's dedication to his guru deeply impacted her. His journey, heart attacks on the ship, and miracles like the calm Atlantic inspired her unshakable faith. You can see that spiritual master has n number of ways to inspire their disciples. And this was one of the ways that inspired Mataji to get that deep faith and unflinching attitude towards Srila Prabhupada's movement. You might have heard the same thing again, that in the introduction of the lecture, Mataji said one amazing statement, which was very inspiring. Mataji said that if we are just thinking about ourselves, like if we are not preaching, then we are kinda in a situation which is materialistic. Srila Prabhupada never emphasized that. So you can see dedicatedly she has been doing the same service over the years. And this describes how even her personal spiritual awakening is only due to his efforts and compassion. So it's complete ideal scenario which we can see, idealistic scenario which we can learn from. And her early life, temple life in America, Mataji joined ISKCON during the early days of the movement. It was joined in very early days. And you will be amazed to know that she was one of the models in Hollywood. And in her very early 20s, she joined ISKCON. Married through a Vedic ceremony arranged by Srila Prabhupada. She was married himself by Srila Prabhupada. And you know whom she married? She was married to His Grace Yashomati Nandan Prabhu, who was the GPC of Gujarat. We had a session on His Grace Yashomati Nandan Prabhu. And there is a deep story how Mataji and Prabhuji in their initial days struggled and constructed ISKCON Ahmedabad and Gujarat and ISKCON temples in Gujarat. So we'll get back to that. She received a ring from Srila Prabhupada on her wedding day as a personal blessing. So we can see when a spiritual master blesses the disciples personally, so we can see uh, how unique these Srila Prabhupada disciples are, that Srila Prabhupada blessed them personally by doing a whole Vedic ceremony of marriage for them and giving a ring. She lived simply, distributed books 10 to 12 hours a day with great enthusiasm. In case you might have been to Vrindavan Dham, you might have seen Mataji distributing Srila Prabhupada books at Srila Prabhupada Samadhi temple next to Srila Prabhupada's altar. As far as I remember, till 2020, before COVID, I had seen Mataji an n number of times over there, just standing next to Srila Prabhupada's altar. With one hand, she distributes Chanamrit of Srila Prabhupada, and with the other hand, she gives books to people like this is Srila Prabhupada books. And as you know, Indian people are amazed when foreigners speak Hindi. So she was an amazing Hindi speaker. She used to distribute books in Hindi. Like, ये जो प्रभुपाद जी आपके सामने है, ये उन्हीं के द्वारा दी गई किताब है. आप चरणामृत लीजिए. ये चरणा आई रिमेम्बर द एग्जैक्ट लाइन. ये चरणामृत जो है, ये प्रभुपाद जी के चरण का है, और ये जो किताब है, ये प्रभुपाद जी के मुख से आई है. आप चरणामृत भी लीजिए और ये प्रभुपाद जी की किताब भी लीजिए. Bliss of Seva. Kirtan and book distribution were the highlights of her life. I remember Mataji, I mean, whenever I saw Mataji from ISKCON Ahmedabad to ISKCON Vrindavan, I always saw her distributing books. And till date, she's one of the best preachers in Vrindavan Dham. I heard recently she moved to Mayapur, but uh, as far as I saw, she was in Vrindavan Dham. That was the only spot where you could find her doing book distribution. Like initially said, if you are looking for your own bhakti, if you are working for your own bhakti, then it is a materialistic point of view. But if you are helping others, helping fellow devotees, fellow peoples in the material world, then that is devotional service. And the best way to do that is book distribution. She also worked alongside legendary kirtanias like Vishnu Swami Maharaj. Despite austerity, she describes it as the most blissful and ecstatic period. She fully embraced the culture, wearing saris, waking early, and living purely. So we have seen that. However, she joined her in the most early days of life. She was amazingly doing her profession, but still she embraced the whole Indian culture. Coming to India, a leap of faith. Srila Prabhupada instructed her and her husband to go to Gujarat. So Jasomati Nandan Prabhu was a Gujarati person from Surat, and he was studying in America, and Srila Prabhupada instructed him that you are a Gujarati person. Why don't you go to your native place and start preaching Krishna consciousness? And amidst everything, Jasomati Nandan Prabhu, husband of Her Grace Radha Mataji, left everything. He came to Ahmedabad, started preaching. As it said, arrived in Ahmedabad with no money, no ticket, no knowledge of the language. Mataji, obviously, Prabhuji was Gujarati, but Mataji was in foreigner. So apart from Hindi, this was Gujarati, a level up language. So that was a difficult phase. They lived in a warehouse and traveled by rented bicycles. I know a pastime that I heard from devotees from ISKCON Ahmedabad. In the initial days of struggle, both Prabhuji and Mataji had one bicycle. Prabhuji used to ride the bicycle. Mataji used to sit behind Prabhuji on that bicycle. And they used to go in the scorching heat of Gujarat. It's at least 42, 45 degrees Celsius. They used to go door to door to collect donations to build a temple. And if you might have seen ISKCON Ahmedabad, it's one of the most gorgeous temples. It is exact replica of Radha Govinda temple in Jaipur, because in Ahmedabad also it's Radha Govindji. So Prabhuji and Mataji decided that if we are going to have Radha Govindji here, so we should similarly have the same abode like Radha Govindji has in Jaipur. The same Chand Palace which Radha Govindji has in Jaipur. They have the same design, same kind of painting, same architecture in Ahmedabad. So they initially lived in a warehouse and used to travel by rented bicycles. How dedicated a person can be. We've seen that. From American model to going on the roads of India, especially Gujarat, in a scorching heat, just to get donations without knowing the local language and making a temple out. Initial reaction, only cows will come here. Land was surrounded by farmland. So till now, ISKCON Ahmedabad, if you have been to that place, it it is not exactly in the city center. And at that point of time, it was the very outskirts of the city. So when they used to preach that we are making ISKCON Ahmedabad, everything like that, people used to say, इतने दूर शहर के बाहर बना रहे हो, कौन आएगा वहां पे, सिर्फ गाय आएगी क्योंकि आसपास सिर्फ खेत ही खेत है. So we can see that dedication brought the ISKCON Ahmedabad temple. And now if you go to ISKCON Ahmedabad, it is only surrounded by, towering buildings, skyscrapers and everything. Has gained one of the most popular areas in Gujarat. Founding ISKCON Ahmedabad. Despite hardships, established ISKCON Ahmedabad through faith, witnessed the city transform, which was once farmland and now the most elite area. As I said now, it is one of the most posh area of Ahmedabad. And Radha Govindji has brought everything next to them. Temple is now a spiritual hub, drawing thousands daily. There are n number of Gujarati people and local people visiting ISKCON Ahmedabad. It's a very big complex. It's a proof of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's miracle working power. Apart from ISKCON Ahmedabad, I would like to add, they preached all over Gujarat. Prabhuji was a regional GBC of Gujarat. There are n number of temples in Gujarat which was guided by Yashomati Nandan Prabhu and Mataji, like ISKCON Surat, ISKCON Barodara, initially ISKCON Barodara. So there were many places where Prabhuji and Mataji preached wholeheartedly, dedicatedly, leaving everything. Realizations on Guru and Krishna. Guru is like a friend of God. It can take us to him. This was one of the points which Mataji shared in the later part of the lecture, which we couldn't play. Without Guru, spiritual progress is almost impossible. It is a very deep quote. Without Guru, spiritual progress is almost impossible. And we can see how Mataji took it upon her life. We could literally see from the reaction, like the facial reaction of Mataji when she was giving lecture, how dedicated she was to Srila Prabhupada, like the way she told. I mean, she was in situations in situations she was filled up with the eyes. I mean, her eyes were filled up with tears, thinking about Srila Prabhupada, how Prabhupada would have loved this thing. As she said that, you grandchildren are more fortunate because grandchildren get more mercy than the sons and daughters. She sees Srila Prabhupada not just as founder Acharya, but as a life giver. Believes Krishna and Prabhupada are doing everything. She is simply an instrument. Lasting joy through bhakti. Describes the deep, ever-increasing happiness of spiritual life. 50 plus years of singing, dancing, and distributing books. No material comforts needed, just devotion and seva. Says, mission accomplished. I am truly happy. Conclusion and inspiration. Mataji's life is a testament to the transformative power of Srila Prabhupada's teaching. From a Western seeker to a spiritual pioneer in India, her story encourages all of us. Simply desire to serve, and Krishna will do the rest. So, we saw everything in the presentation, and through the lecture also, we could literally hear everything about from Mataji, that how dedicated she was to Srila Prabhupada. And in spite of her old age, we can still see that how Mataji is still dedicatedly inspiring every one of us, the grandchildren, the third generation coming up, to be in the same scenario where they were in the early days. So it was an opportunity to glorify such an amazing Srila Prabhupada disciple, and we can offer just prayers to her that we could at least get a tinge of that quality in our lives, so that we could do something for this mission and Srila Prabhupada. Jai Hare Krishna, Radha Mataji ki Jai. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you. Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, actually, and Mahaprabhu's associate Devakinandan, for knowing the glories of the devotees of the Lord, he was traveling from pilgrimage to pilgrimage. But now, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, through ISKCON, and through modern technology, by sitting one place, we can hear the unlimited glories of unlimited devotees. So just take the advantage of, of all these gifts. So I personally want to thank Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. He has with full dedication is conducting this class. Due to my misfortune, I cannot attend every day, but it's my intense desire from the core of my heart to hear the glories of the devotees, so that by their mercy we can get a little love of Godhead. At least I know whatever I got by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. So now I am seeing I need a lot of mercy from other devotees also. That is why we should hear from about other devotees also. At least due to our prideness, we cannot see the glory of our contemporary devotees, but we shouldn't have any doubt about the associate of Srila Prabhupada who are disciples. So better let us hear, make it a point that without fail, every day, listen the glories of Srila Prabhupada, at least twice a week. Those who are getting benefit, please tell other to get and take advantage. I don't think anywhere this type of scope are there. So ISKCON Jain is conducting this type of program. I hope it will be successful and other devotees will try to copy this. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada, Argis Radha Kunda Mataji, Sharad Gaur Bhakti, Gaur Premanandi.